She came out of the bedroom on a Thursday evening, dressed for an event you weren't invited to. New dress. Hair done in a way you don't remember her doing in a long time. A perfume you've never smelled on her before. She looked beautiful in a way that startled you, and for a half second, before you caught yourself, you wondered who this woman was. And then you noticed something stranger. 2 hours earlier, when she'd been in the kitchen with you, she'd been wearing the same stretched-out t-shirt she'd been wearing for the last 3 days. Her hair had been in the same tired bun. No makeup. The same robe hanging on the same hook. She had looked like a woman who'd stopped trying. The woman who left the bedroom for the evening looked nothing like the woman who'd been with you in the kitchen. I want to walk you through what almost no man knows how to read in that moment. Because that asymmetry, that gap between the woman who appears for the world outside and the woman who exists in the rooms you share, is one of the most documented, most ignored, and most diagnostic signals in late-stage long marriages. This video is going to walk you through 7 layers of what was actually happening in the months and years that led up to that Thursday evening. By the end of it, you'll have a test, one specific thing to look for, that distinguishes the woman who's quietly taking better care of herself from the woman who's rehearsing for a life that doesn't include you. That 7th layer is the one almost no man catches in time, and it's the one that matters most. Stay until the end. Before we go further, listen. I'm not here to make you feel like a bad husband. I'm not here to set off alarms. Some of what you're going to hear might describe your marriage exactly, and some of it might describe nothing about it at all. The difference is in the cluster, not in any single signal. Hold that lightly. Let the information land. Don't react, just listen. Let's start with what's actually being communicated when a woman stops dressing for the man in her own home. There's a specific phenomenon that couples therapists have been quietly documenting for over 30 years. Michele Weiner-Davis, whose research on what she calls walkaway wives has shaped how thousands of clinicians think about long marriage dissolution, identifies 4 distinct stages. The first stage is active protest. The second is escalating despair. The third, and this is the one we're going to live inside for the rest of this video, is the building of a separate life. In stage 3, something specific happens. The woman who once tried to be seen by you, who once dressed for you, who once cared about what you noticed and what you didn't, that woman doesn't disappear. She just turns around. The aesthetic effort she used to direct at you gets redirected. Outward, into the world, into the version of her she's slowly preparing to live as. This is why the asymmetry matters more than either side of it on its own. A woman who stopped dressing up entirely might just be exhausted or depressed or in a phase. A woman who started dressing better might just be feeling herself or rediscovering her body or doing the work most women do as they hit midlife. Neither one of those alone tells you anything definitive, but the gap, the specific gap between sweats at home and heels outside, that gap has a different meaning. It means her aesthetic gaze has been relocated. The audience for her self-presentation is no longer you. It's whoever else is in the room. There's a phrase she might use to describe it to herself, if she could find words for it. I stopped producing a woman for a man who stopped seeing me. This isn't a decision. It's not vindictive. It's a quiet, almost biological withdrawal of investment. Women on average are far more attuned to the gaze that watches them than men are aware of. When a woman senses, accurately or not, that her partner has stopped looking, or worse, has started looking past her, something in her starts to redirect. Her aesthetic life finds a new audience, and that audience is, by default, everyone except him. Now here's the second thing happening underneath the surface, and this is the part most men get exactly backwards. You might assume, most men do, that if she's dressing better for the world outside, there must be a specific man she's dressing for. That somewhere out there is someone she's interested in. That what looks like a wardrobe upgrade is actually evidence of an affair, or the prelude to one. That misreading is so common that family law attorneys actually have a name for the broader pattern. Kevin A. Thompson, who writes extensively on relationship breakdown, calls it the CrossFit affair, and Conitzer Family Law in Texas has documented the same cluster of signals from the divorce litigation side. But here's the key insight from their work. The pattern isn't really about another man. The pattern is about a cluster. New body, new schedule, new acquaintances, energy directed outward. And the affair, when one happens at all, is usually a downstream consequence of the cluster, not the cause of it, in other words. The new look isn't because she met someone. The new look is because she's becoming someone she could leave with. The audience she's dressing for is not a person. It's a future version of herself in a future life. Someone who walks into a room alone and is met as a woman, not as someone's wife. If you want to know how far along this process is, the signals usually live in specific places. Listen carefully, because this is where the details matter. The wardrobe shifts in a specific direction. Not just better, different. Clothes she would have laughed at 3 years ago. A style that doesn't match the version of her you've known for 15 years. Brighter or sharper or more tailored or more deliberately feminine in a way that feels rehearsed, not natural. Often the clothes come into the house quietly. She doesn't show them to you. They appear in the closet without commentary. They get worn for the world before they get worn for you. Some of them never get worn for you at all. The perfume changes. The new bottle is one you don't recognize. You don't know when she bought it. She didn't ask your opinion. The scent doesn't match what you would have picked for her, which is the point. She didn't pick it for you. The hair gets shorter or radically different or styled in a way that requires more daily attention than her hair has required for years. This is one of the most common signals and one of the most universally misread. Most men congratulate her on the surface and feel obscurely unsettled underneath. They don't know why. The body itself starts changing in a way that has an audience. Not health. Anyone can pursue health. What you're looking for is the cluster. A sudden, sustained increase in gym time. A new schedule that pulls her out of the house at hours she used to be present. A noticeable rise in energy that goes anywhere except into the marriage. New friends from the new activity who become emotional confidants quickly. The body work is not the signal. The redirection of the energy from the body work is the signal. And then there's the digital piece. This one is so quiet most men miss it entirely. Researchers studying language patterns in long marriages, particularly work by James Pennebaker at the University of Texas on what he calls language style matching, have shown that one of the strongest predictors of an upcoming separation is a shift in the linguistic intimacy between partners. The signs are tiny. The pet names she used to use disappear. The text messages get shorter. The little emojis at the end of sentences vanish. She starts using your full name in conversation where she used to use something softer. The way she writes to you becomes the way she writes to a colleague. And in parallel, almost as if it's a different person doing it, her public self online does the opposite. The captions get warmer, more expressive, more full of voice. The photos she posts of herself get more frequent. The joint photos of the two of you don't get deleted. That would be too dramatic. They get archived, quietly, without announcement. The avatar of the two of you together becomes a solo photo of just her, taken somewhere you've never been. Researchers studying online identity curation before divorce announcements have found a consistent timeline. The shift in digital self-presentation begins 6 to 12 months before the conversation with the husband actually happens. By the time he sits down to listen to her say what she's been planning to say, the version of her that already exists online has been telling that story for a year. You haven't been looking at her social media closely enough to notice, but the people in her life have been watching it. Her sister has been watching. Her closest friend has been watching. Her work colleagues have been watching. The version of her that you don't recognize at home has been the public version for months. If any of this is hitting close, take a breath. I want you to understand something important before we go further. None of this means it's too late. None of this means an affair is happening or has to happen. None of this means she's already decided. What it means is that you're closer to a critical window than you knew. And the man who notices that window has a chance the man who doesn't will never have. The work isn't to confront her. The work isn't to interrogate her. The work, the entire work, is to start being the man whose gaze she could believe in again. We'll get to what that means in a moment. Stay with me, because the next piece is the deepest one. There's a woman she used to be. Maybe you remember her. Maybe you don't. She existed before you. in some early form, when she was 23 or 26, before the children, before the years of carrying a household, before whatever specific weight your marriage has slowly placed on her shoulders. That woman had a particular way of walking into a room. She caught people's eyes and felt the catching. She had a relationship with her own reflection that wasn't tired. For most of your marriage, you've shared a house with the wife of you, the mother of your children possibly, the keeper of your shared logistics, the person who knows your medications and your sister's birthday and what you like for dinner on a Wednesday. A real and full and important person, but a person whose identity has been organized around the gravitational center of your shared life. What's happening when she starts dressing for the world again is that the woman who existed before that, the one who walked into rooms, is being slowly, deliberately, painfully resurrected. She is putting on the clothes of the person she used to be. She is reintroducing herself in front of a mirror to a version of herself she'd put away for 15 years. Esther Perel, who has spent her career studying long-term partnerships and desire, has written about this. Sometimes she calls it identity reclamation. Sometimes she frames it as the rediscovery of erotic autonomy. The language differs, but the phenomenon is the same. Before a woman leaves a marriage internally, she has to find the version of herself that can live somewhere else. And finding that version usually requires building her, in the mirror day after day, in clothes the wife of you would never have worn. Listen carefully to what I'm going to do now. I'm going to give you her voice, the way researchers and clinicians describe it when they listen to women in this stage. This isn't melodrama. This is the specific internal monologue documented across years of qualitative research on women in long marriages. I used to dress for you. I used to put on lipstick before you came home from work. I used to think about what you'd notice, and what you'd touch, and what you'd say. When you stopped noticing, I tried to figure out what I was doing wrong. I changed my hair. I changed my body. I waited to see if any of it would land. And when it didn't, something in me made a quiet decision I didn't know I was making. If you weren't going to look at me, I was going to stop spending myself on being looked at by you. I was going to spend less of me on this room. And the woman I used to be, the one who liked being seen, the one who liked her own reflection, the one who walked into rooms, I was going to give her back to herself. I'm not getting ready for someone else. I'm getting ready for me. The version of me that exists when I'm not in this house with you. The version of me you stopped seeing a long time ago. That's the voice. That's what the new dress on a Thursday night is made of. Now the seventh thing, the test I promised at the beginning. Most men, when they finally suspect that something might be wrong, ask the wrong question. They ask, is she having an affair? Or, is she getting ready to leave? Those questions almost always get false negative answers, because the woman who's in stage 3 doesn't usually know, consciously, what she's preparing for. She isn't lying when she says nothing's happening. She's accurately reporting the surface of her own experience. The right test is different, and you can run it without her knowing you're running it. Pay attention over the next 2 weeks to one specific thing. Where does her best energy go? When she puts effort into her appearance, follow the energy. Does it leave the house? Does she come home from being out, looking the way she looked when she left, and then change into something else immediately and dim down? Watch whether her best self has a destination and whether you are ever that destination. Then ask yourself a harder question. When was the last time she came out of the bedroom dressed in a way that was meant for you? Not for an event, not for an outing, not for friends, for you. To be seen by you, in your home, on an ordinary evening. If you can't remember, that's the answer. The aesthetic effort has been completely redirected. But here's the part most men miss. The redirection is not irreversible. It's not a fact about her. It's a fact about how she has learned to spend her energy after years of receiving certain kinds of signals from you. And those signals can change, slowly, consistently, without performance, starting tonight. Here's the smallest first move you can make. The one that costs almost nothing but lands deeper than you would expect. Notice her, not when she's dressed up. Notice her when she isn't. When she's standing at the kitchen counter in the stretched out t-shirt with no makeup on. The way she actually exists in the rooms you share with her. That's when the noticing matters. Walk over. Look at her the way you used to look at her in the early years, when her ordinariness was somehow extraordinary to you. Tell her something specific, not a compliment about how she looks, a specific observation, the way the morning light catches the back of her hair, the way her hand looks when it's resting on the mug. Something that tells her, without making a project of it, that her ordinary self, the self she had stopped offering up for inspection, is still a person you can see. Do this without expecting anything back. Don't watch for her reaction. Don't try to repair anything in the moment. Just notice her once, then again a few days later. Then again. What you are doing when you do this is something quiet and important. You are telling the part of her that has been getting ready in the bathroom mirror, learning to live without your gaze, that there might still be a way to come back into this house as herself, that she doesn't have to leave to be seen. She may not respond. She probably won't say anything at first. She might be confused. She might be wary because she's been protecting herself from exactly this kind of attention by going somewhere it couldn't reach her. Be patient. The window is not closed, it's just narrow. And the man who walks through it is not the man who confronts. He's the man who looks. So tonight, when she's standing somewhere in the kitchen, doing something completely unremarkable, in her sweats and her tied back hair and her tired face, get up. Go look at her. Look at her like you used to, like she's still the most interesting person in any room you happen to share. Because for a long time, that's exactly what she was hoping to be again. And for a long time, she was getting ready in the wrong mirror for the wrong audience because she couldn't find her way back to the only one that ever really mattered to her. She was getting ready for you. She just stopped believing you were watching.